like now that starts the recording. This is my first time to record this, so hopefully it will go well. Just wanted to share some brief things. This training, again, is only going to be 30 minutes long, and we've got a firm backstop at 9:30. And the reason why we got a firm backstop is Larissa is going to be hosting a millennial call for all of our team members who are 30 and under. Okay, she's got some big plans, and I don't want to steal her thunder, but she's planning on building meetings in colleges all across Houston, so she's going to tell you more about that. But what I want to talk about is dispelling some of all of our traditional programming. We have all been programmed from the time that we were born, and I was programmed this way as well. I'll use my father as an example. My dad got a job, a very good job. He did not finish college because he had too many kids to finish college, but he worked his way up the corporate ladder and became a regional vice president at a company. That company was sold, and then he stayed on with the new company, and as a result of that, when he retired, he got 2 full pensions, and he worked for the same company for pretty close to 30 years. And he retired with a very nice pension, and he's doing very well for himself with the pension. And it would be wonderful if that were still happening across the world. But unfortunately, it just isn't. Okay? And I want y'all to understand the shift that's going on in our economy and in our workforces now. Everything has shifted tremendously, and it's going to continue to shift. And if you think about it, before the Industrial Revolution, people didn't really have jobs. People would have children, and their children would work their farm, and the farm would support the family, and whatever the family business was, the children would work with the parents in the family business. Then we had the Industrial Revolution, and when the Industrial Revolution took place, all of a sudden people were leaving their farms and leaving their family jobs to go work for employers, okay? And we started training our children, you need to get a good education so that you can have a great job. Because if you have a great job, you can then stay with that company for years and end up having a great pension with that company, okay? So basically what we want to do is, kind of look at that training that we've all had. So we were taught to get a good education so that we can get, with that good education, we can get ourselves a great job. We were also told then you could find a great company to work for, and that you could actually work for that company for 30, 40 years and sock away some money and retire with a wonderful pension from that company who rewarded you for your loyalty, okay? However, that world has changed. It used to be 90% of the jobs in the United States were around agriculture. Now that has shifted where less than 10% of the jobs are around agriculture. Most jobs are around industry. And the problem with that is we used to hire people to answer our phone calls. We called them customer service reps. Now, anybody who's called a company that they've done business with lately has noticed that they're not speaking to a person anymore. They're speaking to a computer that's routing them through to whoever they want. So the lady who used to answer the phone no longer has a job because that job has been replaced by a computer. We also understand that in the automobile industry, people in the automobile industry, we used to build cars on an assembly line. Those have all been replaced now by robots. So the robots are actually putting our cars together because they work cheaper and they work harder and they work perfectly. They do everything the exact same way. So what's happening right now is a shift in the economy where people are, if they do get a good job, they're having to switch companies every 3 to 5 years. Every time they switch companies every 3 to 5 years, they're generating usually a higher income, okay? But what eventually happens is if you stay at a company long enough, the company realizes, I could replace you with somebody who's just like you 5 to 10 years ago. Because if I replace you with somebody just like you 5 to 10 years ago, I can save all those pay raises we've been giving you every year. And so then you have to keep changing jobs and changing jobs. There is no loyalty anymore among businesses to their employees. There just isn't. And so what you do is you hop from job to job to job. And if you're smart, you'll save some money, but most people don't. When your income goes up, your lifestyle goes up. You spend more. But what eventually happens is you get too old to be employed. When you're too old to where nobody wants to hire you because they feel like you don't have enough time to work for them, because you got to admit, the first year, it's a loss with an employee because you're spending most of your time training and developing them. So after the first year, the company kind of starts to realize a good return on that investment. So if you're too old, the company doesn't want to make that investment. So then you're forced to live off your savings. And then eventually you're in a situation where you have no savings and you can't get a job because you're too old, because nobody wants to invest in somebody who's up there in years. And that's where 90% of Americans are headed right now. Okay, you have to build something, in my opinion, that's going to serve your family into the future. And I will tell you this, it's simple, common sense. If you think about, is technology creating more jobs or taking away manual labor jobs? It's taking them away. And we basically have three types of jobs out there. We've got blue collar jobs, which are now being taken the place of technology and robots. We've got white collar jobs. The problem with the white collar job is if you're extremely good at your white collar job, the boss who you work for, who also has a white collar job, views you as a threat for their position. So they do everything they can to hold you back, because the more they develop you, the more likely you are at some point to replace them and take their job from them. So that you're working against that. So if you're in white collar, in order to have success in a white collar job, you have to master the politics to be able to play the politics to protect your future. And that's the challenge that we have in white collar jobs. And then there's business ownership. Business ownership, you've got to deal with the capital requirements, making the payroll. It seems like when you're a small business owner and you've got employees, the last priority is your wallet, because you've got to make your payroll, you've got to keep your employees, you got to keep your building, you got to keep your materials, you got to keep your production. So that really doesn't lead you where you want to get either. And then there's investments. I was at a point in my life, Lori and I, where we had a lot of money to invest. And we made bad investments. We put it in the stock market, we put it in real estate, and we lost everything. So that really isn't safe. In order to maximize a really good return on an investing, first off, you have to start with a lot of money. If you don't have a lot of money, you really can't be an investor. Second, if you do have a lot of money, you've got to choose those investments very wisely, because if you invest in the wrong thing and you take too much risk, you could lose it. If you don't take enough risk, you're not going to make a good enough return. So there's some downsides to that as well. So what I like to talk about is the life that we have with Legal Shield gives us the ability to make the income of a C-level executive without the negatives. We've got no politics. The more that Linda's career goes higher, the more she makes, the more I make. The more Jonathan makes, the more I make. There's no way you could take my job from me in Legal Shield. The more successful you are, the more successful it makes me, which keeps us working together instead of working against each other. In addition to that, we're building a book of business that we own that will continue to pay us year after year after year. So basically what's going to happen is over time, okay, when we build that book of business that belongs to us, we're able to grow our income, our retirement income, from the memberships that we write. But here's the challenge. In order to get your business to a point that it supports you financially, either from residuals or from recruiting, you've got to be willing to work for less money than you could make going out and getting a job. I know my first 3 to 4 years in this business, I didn't make near as much as if I had gone out and got a W-2 job making $80,000, $90,000 a year. But if I had done that, I would have been in competition with all the other people in my company that were making that kind of money. Where we're not in competition with one another, we're cooperating with one another to build our businesses. And so what you need to be doing is to be willing to accept a temporary loss of income to grow a more permanent, sustainable income for your financial future. And that's really what this new gig economy is all about. There is no loyalty among companies. There is no loyalty among employees. So you've got to build something of your own. Legal Shield is one of the few places I've seen where you can do that without a lot of capital. Okay, you basically have the ability to build your business without investing huge sums of money. But you do have to invest some work ethic. You got to invest some time, energy, and effort to build your business to the point where it sustains you without you. And that's what Dave Savola has done. He's been passed away for, I think, over 3 years now, and his family's still making tens of thousands of dollars every single day because of what that man built when he was alive. What job can you do that? What investments can you do that? What any other way to make money can you have that? And so what I wanted you to understand, and I think Darcy Hoffman taught about this at length at our last convention, you have to have the mindset of building something that's going to last and stand the test of time. And when you first start, the reason why we lose associates so quickly, and the reason why most people don't make it in this business, is because you have to be willing to accept some temporary losses of self-esteem from ignorant people who don't understand our business model. I can't tell you how many people I have recruited into the most incredible opportunity of a lifetime, where somebody who's a high school dropout can make a multiple six-figure income. Nowhere else does that exist, okay? But I've lost them because the first 3 or 4 people they shared it with had some ignorant opinions about networking. Oh, that's a pyramid scheme. You don't need to be doing that. Oh, that's not legitimate. That's not a legitimate way to make money. Well, you know, those that talk to us about the pyramid scheme, my question to them is, what is your definition of what a pyramid is? Tell me what you think a pyramid is. And they usually will respond, well, that's where the guy at the bottom makes all the money or makes none of the money. They do all the work. The guy at the bottom does all the work, and the guy at the top keeps all the money. So the guy at the top's the only one who's making big money, and he's making it off the backs of all the people at the bottom. Okay? Well, let me ask you this. At your job, do you have a boss? Yes. Do you make more than your boss? No. The boss makes more than you? Yeah. Well, who's his boss? Well, his boss is the regional manager. Does a regional manager make more than your manager? Yes, he does. Okay. Who's his boss? Well, his boss is part of the C-level executives. Okay. Does that guy make more than him? Yes. Who's that guy work for? He works for the CEO. Does the CEO make the most money? Yes. Let me ask you a question. If you become the absolute best at what you do, you become the Michael Jordan of what you do. You couldn't do what you do any better than the way you do it. You become the most exceptional person. Is there any chance you'll be the CEO of your company? What are the chances that you'll be that CEO? Well, pretty slim to nil with my education background. I just don't think that will ever happen. Well, then you've got zero chance of making more than the CEO. Is that right? And that, to me, seems more like a pyramid than what we have. The gentleman who recruited the gentleman who recruited the gentleman who recruited me makes about 20% of what I make. And I'm 4 levels beneath him. So I think the traditional job is more like what we would call a pyramid than with what we've got, because we are paid directly based on our efforts, and we have the ability to build a huge book of business that funds us well into the future, as long as we write good business and keep those memberships active on the books. And I think what everybody needs to realize is that our economy is shifting. In the next 10 to 15 years, there will be less jobs. If there's less jobs, there's more people needing jobs, and there's less jobs. That forces us to pay people less because of simple rules of supply and demand. If there's not a large supply of jobs and the demand is exceptionally high, if it's high demand and there's not a lot of jobs, then people are going to get paid a lot less. Okay, and they're going to have to figure out how to live on less. Where that is not the case for us, there's plenty of business for all of us. We're at a 2% market penetration, and I firmly believe we're going to get to a 98% participation in very short amount of time. And those of us that were here when only 2% of Americans had it are going to be making so much money from our book of business and from our team. And here's another beautiful thing. How many business owners do you know that can grow their business from the grave? I don't know of anybody that can grow their business from the grave unless they're involved in something like we're involved with, where Dave Savola's organization continues to grow as mine grows. It continues to grow as Brian Parker's grows. It continues to grow as Larry Smith and Michael Dorsey. All these businesses that are growing is causing Dave's business to grow even though he's no longer working it. To me, that's powerful residual income. And to me, that's where our economy is shifting now. Why would a company pay huge money in advertising when word of mouth advertising has been proven to be the absolute best form of marketing? More and more and more companies are adopting this sales model. And the people that reject it, the people that give you a hard time because you're committed to it, you have to be willing to accept that temporary loss of self-esteem from ignorant people who don't see this is where our economy is going. Okay? I want you to understand that. And you have to be willing to pay that opportunity cost, because what's going to happen when you first get started in network marketing or in Legal Shield, your efforts have to be way up here on efforts. Your income is going to be down here. But what happens over time, as you increase your income, your efforts can decrease. Okay, as your team grows, you're making more passive income, less active income. Are you willing to pay this price of the difference in your income down here to get to what you're getting to here if you stick with it long enough? And you have to, again, be willing to suffer that loss of self-esteem from ignorant people who don't understand our model. If you stick with it, if you work it, there is no reason why you can't have absolutely, completely, and totally tremendous success. And to be honest with you, the reason why my 5 children are all involved in this business is because I see the writing on the wall. Computers are taking over. We will soon go to a doctor and we'll stand like this in a scanner and the machine will diagnose and tell us exactly what's wrong. Already, surgery. Surgeons are doing much, much less cutting and a lot more we're allowing technology to go in and repair whatever is wrong with that patient. So even the doctors, even the nurses are all being replaced by technology. There's going to be less and less jobs out there, and there is no loyalty among companies. So I really think we are at the right place at the right time, and we're ahead of the curve. We're ahead of the curve to get where we need to get before everyone else realizes that the long-term future of jobs is not looking very positive. And you think about just with Uber. Now, Uber has tried to go, and they're committed to going to unmanned transportation, where they've got technology of a car that can pick you up without a driver and take you everywhere. They are going to a subscription-based model as well, where you don't have to pay per ride. You pay a set monthly fee, and it gives you unlimited access to rides. Sound familiar? Now, they can't do that now because they don't have the technology to safely transport a passenger without a driver yet. But they will. They will very, very, very soon. Already, Tesla has experienced with driving the car in autopilot. That's going to get perfected, and it's going to be done in a way that's safe. Let me ask you a question. If you can buy a subscription to Uber for $50 a month and get free rides anywhere for $50 a month, and a car payment is $450 a month, why would you own a car? You wouldn't, would you? So if nobody buys cars, what happens to the auto industry? Now, all those workers in that auto industry have to find another job. Okay, and what happens to the auto manufacturers? What's going to happen to them? What happens to our energy companies that produce the fuel that we burn in our cars? What's going to happen to that? Y'all see that these industries that are huge, dominating industries are going to just disappear. And then all those people are going to have to get retooled for other jobs, but there's less jobs out there now. And that's the future that we're headed towards unless we do something different. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't get an education. I absolutely believe that you should get a higher level education. You should go to college. One, because it's a fantastic place to recruit from. But in addition to that, just having that knowledge that you gain, knowledge is always power. The more knowledge you can get, the more power you have. I love the fact that I have a college degree. Even though I don't use it, I have a degree in accounting, which I don't use in any way, shape, or form towards my business. But I'm very glad if I go back in time, I would not do it. I mean, you want to have those experiences of education. So I'm not saying drop out of college and build a Legal Shield business because it's the future. I am saying, though, it never hurts to build something of your own that's economy proof. Build something that is immune to not you having to go out and get a job, something that you own that's financially would support you into the future. That's very important. So those are my thoughts for the night and talking about it and being willing to, again, accept that temporary loss of self-esteem. Some people will ridicule you. Some people will make fun of you. Some people will say it'll never work. I will never, ever forget when I was recognized with my $100,000 ring, somebody posted that on Facebook, and my brothers and sisters saw it. And they said, "Are you really making $100,000 from that thing you started?" Well, what they didn't realize is their negativity when I started that is what drove me to get the income that I want. I wanted to prove them wrong, okay? And that fueled my desire. And so let that ignorance that you will encounter, especially as a new associate, let that fuel your drive to share this with more and more and more people so that you can expand your business and by expanding theirs. And that's what I really, truly love. For Lori and I, right now, more than anything else, it's about helping other people realize the success that we've had, helping them be in control of their own lives, helping them spend all their time home with their families, helping them build something that's going to support them long into the future, no matter what happens with technology, no matter what happens with the number of jobs out there, no matter what happens with how much the government taxes us. We've got something that will support us years into the future. So I'm excited about what's going on. I also want to clarify something. You all are familiar with the platinum bonuses. We've got a deadline now that the company has given us. We have to hit the ranks of platinum by April 1st of 2019. So the company's giving us 1 year to get into that platinum mode, because after 5 years at platinum, you're going to be receiving over $1.5 million in bonus money if you hit platinum by January of 2019. But you have to get in the program by January of 2019 in order to realize those bonuses. So you absolutely want to get that started today, because you've got to build 4 executive director legs in less than 1 year. Can that be done? It has been done. It's been done by Kyle. Kyle, I'm trying to remember his last name. Somebody, Lori, you remember his last name?
Kyle Walker.
Kyle what?
Walker.
Kyle Walker. Thank you, Alex. Kyle Walker did that in 5 months. He's platinum in 5 months in the business. So it's been done. Justin Peterson hit platinum in 6 months in the business. So I know it's been done, but you've got to do it right. And the way you do it right is you find those 4 core leaders, those 4 or 5 core leaders frontline to you, and you build their businesses. And they stay committed. And as you build their business, if somebody else emerges in their organization that seems more committed and seems to work even harder, then you build that person and you keep building them to get them the number of people in Performance Club that's going to give them that consistent sales volume every month. Because it's only through consistent sales volume every month that you get and maintain ED. Okay? Only through that consistent and persistent sales volume every month. Now, how do you get there? The how will take care of itself as long as you're committed to doing it. You've heard it said, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, and you can't say the right thing to the wrong person. The person who recruited me in this business was obviously not very passionate about it. He quit 2 months after I got started. He didn't have near the enthusiasm for it that I have, but yet here I am. And I'm very successful despite him, because he did nothing to help me be successful. Nothing. But yet I was successful. So there's people that are going to get this regardless, and they're going to do well regardless of what you do. So how do you find the $100,000 ring earners that will join your business? How do you find them? Well, it would be nice if they all, had on a nice, Legal Shield shirt where you could see this is the guy that's going to be the $100,000 ring guy. So I need to recruit him. You can't tell. You can't tell who it is. The only way you're going to find them is to find massive amounts of people. You've got to keep putting people in the top of that funnel over and over and over again. It's a sorting thing. You sort through hundreds of people to find that one person that's going to support you financially for the rest of your life with their production. And you're going to support them by growing their business. So we've got about 4 minutes left. I'm going to open this up to comments and questions. I know this is kind of, big picture stuff to kind of manage our belief in what we're doing. Every week it's going to be a little bit different. Next week is probably going to be a little bit more specific on how to. But I just want everybody to really realize that you are in the right place, okay? You are in the right career opportunity. You are in the right choice. You just got to realize that it doesn't build itself. You're going to have to build it. And the way you build it is to constantly, don't prejudge people, just put them in the top of that funnel and let them figure out whether or not this is for them. And the more people you engage with, the more people you get to take a look at information, the more people you put on a three-way call with me, the better off you're going to do in this business. So any questions at this point? I'm trying to keep this to 9:30. We got about 3 minutes for comments or questions. Anyone? Anybody? No questions? No comments?
I mean, you pretty much said it all.
I'm just curious whether the guy that brought you in, did he stay an associate?
The guy who brought me in did keep his membership and remains an associate. So, but because he is at the director level and has never gotten above the director level, he's not receiving very many overrides off what I do. He's receiving what they call breakaway director bonuses, which amounts to probably, I would say, about 40 or 50 cents for every membership I've written, which, you know, it's something. It covers the cost of his membership for sure. And if he ever decides to come back, he's got a very, very strong leg that's going to support a third or a fourth of his platinum business if he ever comes back and grows it. Does that make sense? So you always want to maintain your membership for sure. Anything else? Anybody?
So now, why are you saying this thing about a year from now? I mean, that you have to be platinum.
The platinum bonuses that they announced at the convention.
Yeah.
That program ends April 1st of 2019. So if you haven't begun your platinum run of 5 years by April 1st of 2019, the program is over April 1st. So if you don't hit platinum for the first time until May or June of 19, it's too late. That bonus program will be over. Now, you never know. They may extend it. They've done that sometimes in the past, but they've told us on the leadership show today, they specifically told us that you had to have started your platinum run by April 1st of 2019 to participate in that bonus program. But keep in mind, the income you would make from the commissions of being platinum for 5 years would be way, way in excess of what those bonuses are anyway. But the bonus is just gravy on top of it.
Just getting that $1 million check.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get $1 million bonus. That'd be definitely something worth going for. If you're going to do it anyway, might as well do it right away, right?
Got 60 applications on people's phones already. So
you got what?
I've got 60 applications on people's phones.
60 free apps. Okay, yep. Don't forget, Jonathan, the fortune's in the follow-up. Takes 4 to 6 exposures to get somebody closed. So make sure push them to that next exposure. Just keep pushing them to the next exposure. Okay. I remember Dave Savola told me one time there was one guy named Nick Serba he was targeting for the business. And Nick kept telling him no for over a year. He kept saying no, no, no. And Dave just wouldn't let up. He said, Nick, I'm not letting you off the hook. You got to get in this. This is too good for your family for you to say no to. And he just kept after him. Finally, Nick said, look, if I sign up, will you quit bugging me? And he said, yes. Nick Serba now makes $1 million a year from Legal Shield. Do you think he's glad Dave pushed him? His family is supported forever into the future as his business continues to grow. And we're on Nick Serba's team too. So as our businesses grow, we support Nick Serba and his family because Dave wouldn't give up on him. So you just got to keep sharing this with people and realize that, you know, helping them build. When they get started in the business, it's your responsibility to get them paid. Because if you get them paid and promoted, that's immediately going to make them 80 times more likely to stay engaged. So you literally take them by the hand and get them paid and promoted. It's your responsibility to get that done. Any other questions? Okay, Larissa, can you get back on the line? Larissa, can you unmute?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out my phone. It's not.
Well, we'll get better at this the more we do it every week, guys. We'll get better at
It's
this.
not on speaker, so hang on, give me a second, and I'll get on my computer.
There'll
so
be a
people
lot
can
more
see.
squares. The only question I have, Larissa, is the 9:30 call. Are you going to use the same meeting number for that call, or is it a different meeting number?
I mean, I'm okay with the same call unless you would rather have questions after, and then we can hop off.
No, because your call is technically started 2 minutes ago. So what we should probably do is end this one, and any of the millennials that are 30 and under that want to join in, or actually that's probably open to anyone, but Larissa's going to be talking about a game plan for these millennials having the success like the people at North Carolina, because she understands what these people are doing. She's friends with them, and she's about to launch a millennial initiative that I think is going to revolutionize my kids' business and hopefully get me to get them all in that ED bonus realm and get us to the platinum realm quickly. There's our future platinum, if y'all can see it on the screen. Little Lacey there. She's at the hospital with her great-grandpa.
We're ready for our millennial call.
Okay, so we're going to end this call then. Riss, if you want to use the same number just after I end this call, it'll save the recording. Anybody who wants a recording of this for their team, get in touch with me and I'll get it to them. Okay? Thank y'all for being on it. I'm going to stick to the time frame. We're going to stop the recording and stop the meeting. Y'all have a great night. Go Astros.